Greetings and salutations. It's a safe bet to assume that we're all excited for the various games revealed this past E3 event. Nitro Field, 3 houses are on the horizon. Luigi's Mansion 3, Astral Chain, Persona 5 Royal look pretty amazing. Sadly, Pokemon Sword and Shield aren't able to sit on that same pantheon amongst its peers, at least for myself. I'm sure you're more than aware of the news regarding Pokemon Home and its transfer capabilities, though allow me to preface this by stating that I adore the Pokemon series. They certainly aren't the most involved RPGs, though that hasn't stopped them from capturing my adoration since the beginning, way back in the yesteryears of Red and Blue on Game Boy. This comes from a place of love, from someone who's been with the series since its inception. In decades past, you've been able to transfer your beloved monsters to the following new generation, as far back as Ruby and Sapphire anyway. Though the method was at times cumbersome, like that Bush Ball minigame, at least it was feasible. I am one of what I assume to be many who have done so throughout the generations, the insurmountable hours spent training, battling, learning new tactics, growing fond of new Pokemon. I remember when they first added nature to the game and trying to match them with the look of the Pokemon, as I didn't know what the heck IVs or EVs were. What, you want me to hospitalize my Mons with an EV? It wasn't until diving into part where such knowledge finally found me, and I began training them properly, passing on the knowledge to various friends and such. Riding that bike, or that Tauros, across the hallway of a route, with a Volcarona in tow to keep the eggs warm. Hoping my Ditto with its Destiny Knot, and whatever Pokemon I was trying to get, caressing an Everstone would produce a prodigy. Through their, fornication, or whatever Ditto does to him. When they added that soccer minigame to gain EVs in X and Y, and that merchant who could correct IVs in Sun and Moon, I was beside myself with joy. For the partners who I've traveled with could finally be made competitively proper. Despite being messed stat-wise, I could never bear to part with the original team, They would always be integrated alongside the new faces. Use them all quite extensively as to not let all that time training and breeding go to waste. Basically, with the advent of Pokemon Age/Edition, this is all null and void. At the time of this upload, Pokemon Home is the new service trainers would be using to transfer their Pokemon from their assorted games such as Pokemon Let's Go, Pokemon Go, and past generations into Sword and Shield. The problem arises in the limitations specified by the recent Nintendo Trios event. The Galar Region of Sword and Shield will not feature a national pokedex. This is not a problem in and of itself, for Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon didn't either, or Sun and Moon, The problem arises as they claim only Pokemon featured in this Galar Pokedex will be transferable. A Pokedex that Game Freak will be selectively crafting. So, much like Pokebank, I'm assuming this cloud service won't be free. You'll pay a fee to access its storing capabilities. Let's say I send my Salamence, Metagross, and Reuniclus into Home with the intention of putting them into Sword and Shield. Let's say the Galar Region Pokedex features Salamence and Reuniclus, so they transfer over no problem. Tough luck for Metagross, right? I suppose I'll just put them back. From what I understand, please correct me if I'm wrong, this won't be possible as the trip to Home from other games besides Sword and Shield is a one-way trip. This means I'd be effectively paying Game Freak to hold my Metagross hostage until they either make him transferable or make a new game, which I'll have to buy, that features him. Fantastic. I, for one, would be livid to learn about this after I had already moved my Pokemon to Home. The reason for this atrocity has been stated to be twofold. First up is game balance. Yes, the series which introduced such creatures as Mega Rayquaza and Mimikyu, and moves like Spore or Thunderwave which induced randomized turn skipping, now wishes to establish balance. The prospect itself is to be commended, though the methodology employed, condemned. A simple fix would have been to have controllable restrictions to allow people to battle with what they choose. I seem to recall stadium games having something like this, where you could do things such as Little Cup and only compete with free evolutions, for instance. Another justification was a modeling issue, where it would take too much time and too many resources to model all the Pokemon given their new expressive appearance. I would believe this if this was at all what they had shown, though the Pokemon don't appear to be any more revolutionary than their X and Y models. Personally, this sounds like more of a scheme to burn another hole in your wallet for a continual service, or an Ultra Sword and Ultra Shield. If the trend is to continue into the future with, let's say, the 9th generation's Pokedex not featuring Tyranitar and Empoleon, they'll be stuck at home until the next game, I guess. You know, unless, heaven forbid, you miss your rent payment, in which Game Freak just euthanizes them. No word at this point has been said as to whether it'll be like Sun and Moon, where in the first few months of that game, you weren't able to use Pokebank to transfer your Pokemon. But after, I believe it was 2 or 3 months, everyone was transferable. If that was the case, you wouldn't have to deal with my whining. I was undeniably excited until this news was brought up in the Trails event. This may be the first mainline game that I'll actually be skipping. Quite the strange feeling, admittedly. Seems as though they wish to turn Pokemon into a paid service, which I'm not really on board for. They gotta get the Pokemon Go crowd invested, I suppose. No shortage of great games coming out, so I'll probably find a way to see if things change. You know, for this game, or an Ultra version. Pokemon, you know, at least for me, has always been about the Pokemon. I know, what a revelation. Without them, what are you giving me? A grand epic, revolutionary visuals for spectacular display? From what I've seen, this doesn't appear to be the case, so I suppose for now I'll just wait and hope. If anything comes about to change any of this, I'll be sure to do a follow-up video. You know, I'm hopeful. Every Pokemon is somebody's favorite, so I can't see why you can come about and just say, forget about Stunfisk, Klefki. I may not like them, but I'm sure someone does. Until then, I suppose. By the by, what games are you guys excited for? Bloodstone comes out in a few days. Nitro Fueled. So I won't be bummed for too long. Anyway, I do hope you all enjoyed. Hopefully, this does get rectified. Or at least attested to. Maybe clarified. How do you feel about this? Will you still be picking up Sword and Shield regardless? Treat it as its own standalone experience? I can understand if we can't start with our Pokemon transfer just like Sun and Moon. That's way too much to transfer everybody over. That's fine. I'm cool with that. But until then, take care and farewell.